What is going on YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast, and today we have episode 55 for you. As always, I have my boy Andrew and my man coming off a rough week as a Browns fan, and really a long month so far as a Browns fan. You know, all this optimism we came into the season with, it's diminished at this point. I don't think there's a single optimistic person on Browns Twitter besides the few that are still behind Watson. But yeah, we just came off a pretty bad loss against the Commanders. I did not think that we were gonna implode like that. It just looked like a high school team, like we did. I mean, the many mistakes we saw, of course, as we'll get into earlier, or here in a little bit. But Andrew, what's the vibes like right now? Because for me, it ain't too high. I can't front.
Yeah, no, it's not high for me either. For some reason, I just can't get behind this team anymore, and I don't think I can until the quarterback situation is solved. I think once you insert Jameis Winston, I say once, as Jameis will probably have the rest of the season if things don't go well Sunday. Um, I just don't have a hopeful bone in my body anymore. Deshaun is absolutely atrocious. 230 million wasted down the drain. And it's like I get why the deal was done and made because there was a lot of hope for him because obviously he was a top 5 QB before his situations happened. He was a great QB. But now after all the things we're seeing, it's he diminished so hard, and I don't think there's a recovery. There's not going to be a recovery. I don't get why the front office keeps saying there's going to be a recovery. There's going to be a recovery. There's not going to be. The fans have given up. You could tell the players in the field don't want to deal with it anymore. They're kind of giving up on it. You have a great charismatic quarterback in Jameis Winston who would uplift spirits, who would uplift that locker room, who would uplift the fan base. Like this is a guy. Like this is our Austin Hedges on the Browns. Is Jameis Winston like not super spectacular, but by God, does this guy make everyone feel so much better? Does this guy bring everyone together and closer together? And I think if the Browns lose on Sunday, it's time to insert Jameis Winston and ride with him for the rest of the year because I can't watch another Deshaun Watson masterclass and watch him suck ass and
with a 8.2 QBR last week.
Dude, he was great. Are you kidding me? Like that's the best in the league.
It was. I mean, honestly, this is the one of the first times I've ever been truly glad that I worked for that game because, I got to catch a little bit of a glimpse of it, but by halftime it was over. I mean, there was nothing the Browns were doing on offense that was, getting us anywhere, and it was really easy originally to point out to Stefanski and say, okay, Stefanski's just not calling good plays. Like, well, what are we doing? But we're also down 24-3 at halftime. There's not a lot of room to really run the ball because you're down instantly. You started the game off and you sort of kept it a little bit close, but the Browns literally could not get anything going, especially off a third down. Man, we are. Yeah. I think we are statistically the worst team on third down so far this year. It's been bad. And so, yeah, there was a lot of people blaming Stefanski. And I think after this week on Twitter, seeing a lot of the film that I've been seeing out, there's been quite a few. I've posted a few on my Twitter alone. So if you guys want to see those, my thingy is right there. Zach Strubler 50 for Twitter or X, whatever the hell you want to call it anymore. But Watson is quite literally not reading the field at all. He is failing to execute these plays. He's failing to execute in timely rhythm, and we can blame the offensive line for not being great because they have not been great this year, but they're also riddled with injury, and we still can see Watson is still a majority of the case why he's getting sacked to even begin with. It's not good. Everything that we are seeing right now is just about as bad as you could possibly make Watson look. And it's not getting much better. He's had one decent game, which was against the Jags, which we won barely, and that's about it. Watson has not performed, and I don't know if he can get out of it. I really think he is way too far in his head, or maybe he's just not the quarterback that everybody thought he was.
Yeah.
I really don't know. Like, obviously, I don't have those answers, but I think because listen, the Eagles, they're not as good as they were last year. Let's obviously make that well known. Like, they're not as heavy hitting as they were last year, but they also have had some guys go down. They had Smith go down. They've had AJ Brown down the last few weeks, so they've really had to ride on Barkley for a majority of the start of the season so far. And fortunately for them, Barkley's been amazing. So, and their defense is still pretty solid as well. But again, not as great. And yet, if the Browns come out and play a game the same way they did last week, it could be a Black Friday type of day for us. Somebody's going to get canned or something's going to give with Watson. But I cannot imagine after the last few weeks, if you lose to the Eagles like we think they probably will, there's no way you can even convince the players that, Watson is the guy. And they're never going to say it. Like, guys are always taking self-blame, and that's how you do it. Like that's how you handle these interviews. It's you say, listen, it's not just one guy. It is all of us. And that's true to a degree. But when Watson is this bad, it is a confidence issue. It is something you have to sit him. You have to sit him and give us a chance to win this game, because you have guys that have been on this team for many, many years. Guys like Bitonio, Garrett now is a veteran. Hughlett, who just went down with an injury. He is on the IR for the first time in almost a decade, I think. He's played over 150 games straight. I think it's like 157. He's on IR right now. So our long snapper, our longest standing Brown, is on IR. Point is, these guys have dealt with the 0-16 teams. They have dealt with the bullshit that we as fans have all had to deal with. And now it feels like we are right back at ground zero. It literally feels like we are back in 2016, 2017 era, where we're not worried about a playoff spot. We're worried about, are we going to get a top 5 pick this year? And luckily, it's this year when we finally have a first round pick again. So I guess if you're going to be bad, you might as well be bad when you can finally get a first round pick. But and I know you're going to speak a little bit on this, so I'll obviously definitely let you sound off. But at this point, you almost have to take the L. You really do. You either have to, somehow find a way to trade him, which is very unlikely at this point. He has so much cap space. I can't see any team besides like the Panthers be willing to take on any cap at all, because they're in such a bad place too. Maybe that could happen, but that is like a 0.01 chance. It's just not in the realm of possibilities. It could very well go on to be like a sort of Russell Wilson thing where you're going to have to eat a lot of dead cap, and it's going to be even more than the Broncos had to eat, because we have still a lot in guarantees. I'm pretty sure we have, I think it's like 100 or 140 mil or something left. It's the point is, it's bad.
Yeah.
And it's going to suck, but this is the fucking bed you guys made when you signed this dude, and you fully guaranteed his contract, knowing he's been off for over a year, almost 2 years, when you go out and get him. And you gave up on Baker, which, again, I do not think getting rid of Baker was a wrong move. I think both parties needed that. So let me state that before I say the name Baker, because there's going to be guys out there that are going to be like, oh my God, I'm so tired of Baker. Listen, I am too. He's doing wonderful in Tampa Bay. And that's where he needed to go. He needed his ego checked in Carolina. He needed to go through that shit, I think, to grow up. And I think Baker is better for it now. Mm-hmm. So again, I do not think both parties fucked up there. But we clearly fucked up on Watson. And it is so evident. I just don't know how you can continue to sell this to the fans, to the front office, to the team. These guys, there's no way that these guys truly are truly focused with Watson. Everybody's body language in the the huddles, the sidelines, it looks awful.
Yeah.
Nobody believes in Watson. And I think that's partly why receivers are just not catching the ball. Is because I think there's really some sort of rebellious thing going on. I don't know, but it's at this point anything could be logical because it's been so bad. So bad. So Andrew, I'm gonna let you sound off. I just talked for almost 10 minutes. You're up, buddy.
No, dude, it was the 10 minutes well spent. I mean, this is probably gonna take me a few minutes because you said a lot of shit that I wanted to say. Um, on the Deshaun Watson issue, like I don't know if you guys ever watched like Sean King go over the tapes of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Sean King, if you don't know, he's won the Super Bowl with the 2003 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And he's been delving into a lot of the film on Deshaun Watson. And a lot of plays Deshaun missed were layups, as he describes. And these layups are like the first couple plays the first like drive against the Commanders on Sunday.
Yeah.
He had Cooper on that comeback going out of bounds. Like he was wide open and he missed Cooper by like 3 yards. Like he threw him too wide and like Coop tried to lay out for it, didn't get there, obviously. But that was a 25-yard gain within like the first 2 passes of the game. And that could have really set the tone for the rest of the game. And then, like Zach said, you have so many instances where he just stares down receivers and doesn't make a play, or he'll stare down receivers and then runs for 3 yards and gets a 3-yard gain on a run when he had Judy open 15 yards downfield, Moore open 25 yards downfield, and Cooper open, 10 yards downfield, and you had Jerome Ford open for a bubble screen. And he just overlooked everybody and decided, shit, I gotta go. And then he runs into trouble. I saw this stat on Twitter today about it's the percentages of the players causing the sacks. Obviously, it's based on the offensive line. Jerome Ford was in there too, I think, and then Deshaun Watson. The number one player who gives up the most sacks this season was DeJuan Jones, obviously, at a 24% rate.
Yeah.
Then it was Jed Wills at like a 21% rate, 22% rate. Deshaun Watson came in at a 20% rate.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson causes his own sacks.
Yep. A lot.
A lot of the time, Deshaun Watson causes his own sacks. There's times where, DeJuan Jones and Jed Wills hold up their guys, and they do well in holding up their guys. But Deshaun Watson stares down the receivers too long, tries to dip out, and he dips out into pressure and gets sacked.
Yeah.
And then you look at the tapes, there's 2 guys open, and he just decided not to throw. Like, brother, you have guys open downfield. Throw the fucking ball. And he just, I don't know if it's a confidence issue. I don't know if he's worried about his shoulder still. I don't know what is going on, but he is not throwing the football. He's not doing anything. He's just, I don't know if he's self-sabotaging. I don't know what's going on, but it doesn't look good. And like you said, it looks like guys are just giving up. Judy had an easy touchdown catch, and I feels like he almost dropped it on purpose. It's baffling to me that people can sit here and still kind of root for Deshaun Watson anymore. Like, I gave him the first couple games just to see if he still has anything. He doesn't. It's over. The $230 million is wasted. You might as well just, tell on yourself and say, hey, I wasted $230 million and just fucking end it, dude. Just end it. Take the L. Start Jameis Winston. Like Zach said, this is the time that if you do get a top 5, top 10 pick, it's a good quarterback class this year. You have guys like Archie Manning, Cam Ward. You have Quinn Ewers. You have a couple of guys who are going to be available, and you might be able to snag one of those guys, and might be one of those tank for one of them. But at this point in time, and I said it last week, I don't think you have anything to lose in starting Jameis Winston. I don't. You're 1-4. You could easily go 1-5 at the end of this week. At that point, yeah, you still have playoff hopes, but those hopes go away if Watson's still your number one guy.
Yeah.
If they announce sometime next week after the Eagles game that Deshaun Watson's still the starting quarterback,
There's going to be a lot of fans that are just going to be done.
A lot of fans. You're going to see Brown Stadium empty. You're going to see people watching other games on Sunday. Like, I doubt. I usually wear my Chubb jersey every Sunday and stuff. I don't know if I'm gonna wear that. I don't know if I'm gonna wear anything Browns.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the only reason people would even come on week 7 would be because Chubb is most likely playing that day.
Yeah.
That sounds like the current move right now. That's not confirmed or anything. That's just rumor that I've been hearing a lot on Twitter. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if that's the case. But if so, it makes sense because it's against the Bengals, and we have a really good reputation against the Bengals, and especially Chubb plays really, really well against the Bengals. So it makes sense for him to have his first game there. Okay. That's the only reason why people would show up. But if that's the case, if you really want people to show up, bench Deshaun Watson. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this guy playing for us and fucking up these games. At least last year he won us games. He went 5-1 before he got hurt, including the lovely second half against the Ravens that will never happen again.
And he threw 200 yards in those games too.
And guess what? I don't even think Watson has thrown for over 300 since he joined us. Nope. Not once has he ever gone over that. He's been kind of close a few times, but I don't think he's ever gone above 260.
I think he had one
280.
Game. I think he had one game at 270.
Yeah, it was something like that. Like
I think that was a Jacksonville game.
Yeah, and it was like, dude, this whole I don't need to be the same player as I was in Houston. Yes, the fuck you do. That's what we paid you for, idiot. Yeah. I don't care who we have it as a running back. I don't care who we have at receivers. You had D-Hop. You had a decent run game, but you had a good pass game. You had a shitty Houston team that you needed to carry. Well, guess what? This Browns team right now is currently shitty. You want to win back everybody in this fan base? Start playing like the superhero that you were in 2020 before everything happened. Because nobody even wants you to begin with because of your off-the-field things. But now people really don't want you because you're also being a shitty quarterback.
Yeah.
A very shitty quarterback. It's time for a change. And unfortunately, it's going to be hard to see that be the change before somebody gets fired. And I think, again, this is another take that I'm going to have, and I'll let you sort of follow this up. There's a lot of people blaming Stefanski. I think AB is the one that's on a bigger hot seat than Stefanski ever could.
Yeah.
Because Stefanski, at least, has been a 2-time coach of the year. AB, the only thing he's really done well when you look back on everything that he has done is sign a few guys, and he's done really well with his restructures and his deals. He's always that 3-year guy sort of deal, or he gets those 1-year deals with vets. That's his bread and butter. That's what he knows. Other than that, AB has not really drafted very well. He's hit on a couple of guys, but very few. And he has yet to hit on a receiver, and I'm pretty sure he has yet to hit on a defensive tackle. I mean, he's kind of hit on some DNs with Alex Wright was a good pick, but he's hurt. He's out for the year with a torn bite or a tricep.
Yeah.
You had some decent signings, but you also have guys like Juan Thornhill, who is a great guy, but he hasn't played much. He hasn't done anything for us. It's just been that frustrating, and I really do think AB is more so the one to blame because I think he's the one keeping Watson on the field. I think he's the one that is making those calls and not Stefanski, and that is where I draw the line. Because when you are a head coach, you should have full capability to change this lineup whatever way you see fit in order to win you games. And if he's not being given that opportunity, then you need to cut AB and let Stefanski do his fucking work because it is holding us back from being able to get into any games this year. And that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think this is if you have anyone to fire, it's got to be AB, and it's got to be Paul DePodesta. Like, I don't think Pete DePodesta has even been at the Browns facility in like 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, he has no grasp in football. I get it. You watched Moneyball once and you hired him thinking that it was working. Moneyball never worked ever. People forget that the Oakland A's in that time period had a great pitching staff. They had Miguel Tejada, who was one of the best shortstops in the league at that time period. Like, you can't tell me that Moneyball absolutely worked when the Oakland A's were actually primed and were already a good baseball team at that point. Like, obviously they weren't the year prior, but they were a good baseball team that year. Anyway, like, the Moneyball approach doesn't work. You know what works? Spending money and getting players.
Yep.
That's what works. We're Cleveland fans. We're used to the Guardians not spending money. We're used to, I mean, hell, the Cavs have finally started spending money and getting players.
Mm-hmm.
And look at Cavs. They're finally, Donovan Mitchell came out today and said that he feels like they're a championship contending team now.
Yeah.
It's come down to, it's not Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski is not only just 2-time coach of the year, but the team, if you look at the play calls, the plays aren't bad plays. People are open. It's just Deshaun Watson's not throwing the ball. Deshaun Watson's not running. He's not doing anything. It baffles me that people want Stefanski on the hot seat. Stefanski should not be on the hot seat. The one on the hot seat should be Barry and Paul DePodesta.
Yeah.
Those are the guys who run the drafts. Those are the guys who make the picks. And those are the ones that the Haslams listen to the most. If anyone's on the hot seat, it's those two.
Yeah.
Like, those are the guys you have to get rid of. And we had no problems when not Ken Dorsey, but when John Dorsey was here. John Dorsey did excellent. Half our team right now is because of John Dorsey. And he's made the Detroit Tigers look like a perennial Super Bowl caliber team. Yeah. The problem is not Kevin Stefanski. And if you think the problem is Kevin Stefanski, you really haven't been watching football this year. Like, you have not been watching.
Straight up.
Like, I could tell you right now, if you listen to Stefanski and the tone of his voice and you look into his eyes, I guarantee you 1,000% he wants to bench Deshaun Watson. He wants to bench him so fucking bad and put in Jameis Winston because he knows Jameis Winston can actually throw the ball and win games. Because guess what? Jameis Winston came on for like 2 or 3 plays at the end of the Commanders game. And the first play he ran was a 16-yard dot.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? He made an easy 16-yard pass. And I was like, oh, so the guy was open and the quarterback can make a throw.
And like I said, you guys can look at my my page. I have a few. I'm gonna try to list the Dogs of Cleveland Browns podcast listed a 4.5-minute video. That's great work. Shout out to them. They always put out really good stuff. And by the way, these guys were, I'm not gonna say dick riding Watson before this, but they were definitely people that continue to not blame Watson, and now they're putting out content like this. This is when Watson is struggling immensely in these games. Yeah. There is a play where they have, let's see, we have Cooper down low, you have a tight end in the slot, actually 2 tight ends in the slot, you have your running back out wide a little bit. And then you have Judy up on the top. Every single guy gets open within the first 5 seconds of this play, and Watson continues to just say, you know what? I'm just gonna scramble it and get sacked for a 3-yard gain or a 3-yard loss. It's bad. This guy doesn't trust himself. He doesn't trust his players apparently, and it's showing. It's literally showing. I understand Watson has arm talent to a degree, but even then, it's not working. You have to figure it out, or you have to move on. There is no other way. I don't care how much money we're paying him. He can be the most expensive backup in NFL history. I don't give a shit at this point. I really don't, because at this point, I just want to win games again.
Yeah,
and I don't care how that happens. So figure it out.
And that's my thing too. Is like at this point, I just want to win a fucking fucking football game. Like I could care less at this point. If you like, I know a couple teams that will probably be dumb enough to buy Deshaun Watson from you because Miami needs a quarterback right now. I know Pittsburgh, they could use a QB. I mean, if we can get Justin Fields out of the situation or something.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple teams that would be like, maybe, but it makes no sense to why you just don't bench him. Like, all you're doing is pissing people off more and more. You're pissing the fans off. You're pissing at this point. You're probably pissing the team off.
Yeah, you're probably there's probably players that are truly mad that just can't say anything because.
Yeah,
I mean, what are they gonna do? I mean, if they sound off, it's just gonna affect everything back there. So they can't.
So it's time to let him go. It's time to at least just bench him and see how Winston does. I think the perfect week would be next week against Cincinnati. I think you bench Deshaun Watson, you put in famous Jameis, and let Jameis cook.
Yeah,
and if Jameis
let him rip it.
And if he gets more than 15 points. The Browns fans are going to be so happy.
Here's my take, too. Because the Bengals suck. Like, the Bengals are not a very good team.
Yeah.
If you throw Winston in there, I guarantee he throws for over 300 yards. I can put $1,000 down, and I guarantee Winston would throw for 300 yards.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. I'm telling you, it will happen. If we start with Winston against the Bengals, he's throwing for over 300 yards. I could put immense amounts of money down on that. I know for a fact. Because he's done it before. He's thrown for over 500 yards multiple times. He's been a passer in this league.
And
it's not like he can't do it.
And that's the thing. He's a passer. He's not afraid to make passes.
No.
He had a 30 for 30 year. He had 30 touchdowns.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's like Eli. He doesn't give a shit. He just throws it down the field. And that's the thing with Flacco, too. Like, Flacco didn't give a shit. And yes, Flacco had interception issues, especially against Houston in the playoff game. But other than that game, Flacco was literally almost perfect for us. He would throw a pick in a game, and he would still come back and throw a touchdown the very next series.
Yeah.
Because he always gave you a chance to win. If that's all you need as a quarterback in this system. Because, especially once you get Chubb back.
Yeah, and also, too, by the way, I forgot, I did look it up. Deshaun Watson's biggest game last year was 289 yards. So he had close to 300 yards. And then you look at Joe Flacco, it was like 311, 350, 347, 325. Like, it was like all over 300 yards.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he had a game
quarterback to throw for 300 yards for us.
Yeah.
Like, Baker rarely even did that. But Baker didn't have to because we ran the ball a lot. We had Chubb and we had Kareem. Yeah. We had, each running back was running for over, almost 1,000 yards. I mean, Chubb had the one year had like 1,400, but I'm pretty sure Kareem had like 700 or 800, and that's still a good duo. So again, Baker didn't need to do that, but Baker had the capability of having good games like that. He also had capability where he had shitty games. It again, the Christmas game against Green Bay was the worst one. That's when I truly started to give up on Baker here. Was during that game because he threw like three really bad picks. He was still hurt. It was a rough game. So at this point, there is no excuse for Watson because he's not hurt.
Yeah, he's not hurt.
He's still very much playing, and he just cannot get it. He cannot get it together. And even in practice, I'm seeing his clips from Mary Kay. He still looks weird. He still looks nervous. Like he still looks like he's so frantic. I'm like, dude. There's not even pressure coming to you, dude. It's in practice. You should be able to throw bombs in practice. And everybody was saying in the offseason that our offense did not look good. Now we see what they mean. We see what they mean.
I just think if you throw in Jameis Winston, I think everything just changes. I think I think everyone gets boosted. Like, the morale changes. I think balls are being caught. I just think everything goes super well. He will throw for 300 yards, and he probably wins that game on Sunday or next Sunday.
Does.
I think he'll beat the Bengals.
I bet you he would have won the game against New York, and
he would have won the game against New York. You know what? Funny thing is, I didn't mention this on the one pod, but when I went to the Giants and Browns game,
Yeah.
there was a few New York fans in front of me, probably about our age,
Yeah.
and they're like, because we were all chanting, bench Deshaun or whatever.
Yeah.
We were saying we want Winston, we want Winston,
Yeah.
like
I
we
remember
want
that.
Winston, and the guys in front of us, the Giants fans, were like, if you guys put in Winston right now,
You guys are gonna win this game.
he's like, we will lose this game, and you guys
Yeah.
would win. You guys would destroy us.
Yeah.
And I was like, exactly. That's the point. That's why we want Winston. And sorry, I was watching the Guardians game, and Jose almost
Okay.
inches away just almost hit a home run on a. It would have been a 3-run homer because Manzardo and Quan both singled on their first at bats. So it's 2-on, nobody out, and Jose just inches away, almost hit a 330-foot bomb. Just went foul.
Damn.
But could have started up to game 3-0, which would have been beautiful. But sorry,
I'm gonna turn that on too. It's okay. I'm just gonna keep it.
I was like, I saw the ball out of the corner of my eye. I was like, oh my god, he just done.
And before I miss this point, because I'm going to, I just saw PFF posted something. Deshaun has had 115 pass attempts with a clean pocket so far this year, which is 14th among all quarterbacks.
Yeah,
so if we are strictly blaming the offensive line, you can't.
Yeah.
There's literally fucking proof that he has clean pockets.
The offense has been middle of the road.
Yeah.
Like they haven't been awful, but they haven't been bad, but they haven't been good.
Especially considering the injuries and all that. It's not. Yeah. It could be worse.
It could be a lot worse.
And yet we're sitting here with this. Like it's.
But that's the thing. Like, I think again, if you put in Jameis Winston, I think everything just changes.
Yeah.
Everything changes. You win. I think you beat the Giants. You put up a great performance last week. I think you could keep up with the Commanders.
Yeah.
And I want to look at this schedule because I'm trying to think of who else we played beforehand. Because for some reason I can't wrap my brain around the fact of who we played.
Dallas,
Jacksonville,
New York.
Oh, we would have beaten the Raiders.
Yeah. 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 Because the Raiders game, they were giving us every chance to win that game too.
You probably would have been on a 3-game win streak because you would have beaten Jacksonville, New York, and the Raiders. So you've gone in 3-1. You've been 3-1 going into the Commanders game.
Yeah.
So right now, if you could have started Jameis, you'd probably be starting the season 3-2, and you'd be sitting 3-2 with the Pittsburgh Steelers at the top of the division. Like all that could have changed.
Yeah, all of it could have changed so much too. So, yeah, it's just gonna be an interesting weekend this weekend, and
for sure.
I think the only because here's the thing: when we make our predicts at the end, I'm not gonna pick the Browns here. I'm just letting you guys know that now. I'm not gonna pick the Browns, and I'm not going to justify myself to pick the Browns. The only way that we do is because the Eagles have not been as good this year as they were last year, and they come off a bye week, and it depends on who's playing and who's not. Could help us. But honestly, after the Commanders game, I just don't think there's any hope. I think when you have a good enough run team, you can just outduel us because Watson is that bad.
Yeah.
So it's just not going to cut it for me. But I'll give you whatever lasting thoughts you want to have here, and then I want to move on to Guardians since they're on right now anyway. We might as well end on somewhat of a good note despite being down 2-1.
Yeah, I just want to say we just have to start Winston. I can't do this anymore. Like, it's starting to. We all know that the issues is not Kevin Stefanski. We know it's not the coaching staff. We know the issue lies. And again, we talked about this every week so far. The underlying issue is Deshaun Watson. That is the underlying issue. Right. The defense is getting better and better each week. The underlying issue is Deshaun Watson. The offensive line has performed better and better too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the underlying issue is not the rest of the team. It's strictly Deshaun Watson. And like I said 1,000 times already, if you start Jameis Winston, then
everybody feeds off that.
Everybody feeds off of that. And
The defense will get their swagger back. Like I'm telling you, everybody will start to buy in a little more. And yeah,
Yeah,
you're gonna piss off one guy, but you would rather piss off one guy than piss off 22,
yeah.
or yeah, 22.
And the thing
So
is, it makes it. I think there's so much pressure on everyone's shoulders, and I think all that just releases.
yeah, it really does. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
I'm over
over.
the Brown stuff.
Me too.
Especially if we lose this week, I'm gonna have to hear it from my freaking cousin anyway, who's a big Eagles fan. I have a dude in my freaking fantasy league that's also a big Philly fan. So if we lose, I'm gonna hear it from both from the both
I,
of them, and neither just struck out. You fucking idiot! Quit swinging it shit in the dirt. We
oh,
have two
you're
guys
behind.
on.
You're
Yeah, I
behind
am.
me.
Yeah, I am
Um,
behind. I'm on YouTube TV.
I'm gonna ruin it for you. We're up 1-0.
Okay, never mind. Actually, I got it. Okay, we're good. Yeah.
Yeah, we're up 1-0. Lane Thomas. So Quan's still third, and Lane Thomas hit a single,
Cool, and then Will Brennan's up now. Okay,
and
I
Will
was like,
Brennan's up now.
why the hell am I this behind?
Yeah, so
Um,
we got an early lead. We're up 1-0.
cool. So,
Great start for the guards.
yeah, it goes right into our thing. So yeah, the guards. Obviously, they're playing right now. We are down 2-1 to Detroit. We started off game one, great, won 7-0. It was like, man, this could be a 3-0 series. And last week we said if you can just survive against Scoobel, you probably do that. Well, we didn't survive against Scoobel. He shut us out. Last night we got shut out. I forget who Detroit had on the mound,
Oh,
but
it was Montero.
we can't hit anything. So the fact that we're starting off this game, we got two guys on now. It's the top of the first, so the game just started, and we have guys at least scoring something. It's better than nothing, and it gives Tanner Bybee a chance to hopefully take this game 5 or 6 innings, and if we can do that, it's GG. And then it comes back to
Yeah.
Cleveland for game 5, where again you have to face Scoobel, but you face Scoobel on a short, sort of 2 or 3 game or a 4 day rest. I guess for him. So we'll see how that goes, but this is our pretty much last chance to really keep this season alive. So it's good to see the Guardians starting off the way they did right now. What do you expect out of this team? Because the last 2 games, not being able to put any runs on the board at all, it's that's not good at all.
No, and I think what just happened in this first inning was the best was a good start.
Yeah,
This is the first run you scored since the 6th inning in game one. And this is the start that you needed. You needed guys to come on and immediately just get hot and just hit the baseball.
yeah,
Quan, immediate single, obviously. That's no surprise. Manzardo, who had one at bat yesterday, then got taken out because a lefty came in the 2nd inning. Manzardo gets on base as well with a single. And I thought Manzardo should have hit all game yesterday because I thought he would have been effective.
yeah.
And then Lane Thomas comes in, gets Quan home, and you have a fantastic start. And this was going to be my key if we got here before the game started. The key for me was get off to a fast start.
Yeah.
Whether it's a 1-0 run game, a 2-0 game, whatever, just get off to a fast start. If you can get a run on the board as early as possible, that's perfect because then you shut down the crowd. The crowd can't get into the game now because it's 1-0. The crowd can't get into it. It immediately relieves Tanner Bybee because now he's not feeling so much pressure from the other fans and from the team. So he can go in and be a little bit more comfortable on the mound. And as long as you can keep putting the ball, the goal is just to put the ball in play right now.
Yeah.
As long as you continue to put the ball in play, you're great. We had 8 runners stranded on base yesterday. We were putting the ball in play as much as possible. The issue was we couldn't bring them home. So when we had guys in scoring position, we just could not get it going.
Yeah.
Jose almost had a home run, which would have been crazy, but he ended up flying out. And then obviously Josh Naylor struck out. I think in that situation, Josh Naylor was just trying a little too much.
Yeah, he is.
And because Quan stole a third, I think he was just trying to get Quan home by putting the ball in the outfield, and he just swung at everything, which I get it. It's the playoffs, and you're just trying to get guys home, but just continue to wait for your pitch. Lane Thomas, again, just excellent job just getting the bat on the ball in the first pitch and just putting it through the gap.
Right.
But the key today is the top half of your lineup has to get hot. Quan, Ramirez, Manzardo, Naylor. All those guys have to get going because the bottom half hasn't been bad.
Yeah.
It's the top half of the guys who have not been doing anything since game one. So that's my insight on it. I think as long as those guys get off to a good start, which they did, they put 3 runners on base, got to run home. They did their job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And, there was, some people that were really upset with Vogt from yesterday's game. And I do think he got a little too cute with trying to pinch hit guys too early. Just not giving guys like Manzardo a chance to,
or Brennan.
yeah, or Brennan to really make an impact on the game the way they could have. And
Yeah.
Manzardo, I think he's just a guy that is such a good hitter. You gotta let him just go through it, no matter how
Yeah.
young he is.
Well,
Let him go
Brennan's
through
a good
it.
hitter too, and
Yeah.
he didn't even get the chance to bat yesterday.
Yeah, it was such a weird thing, but again, I don't want to put full blame on him because he is a first year coach. Things happen. Guys like Naylor and Ramirez have got to step up. And
Yeah.
Ramirez, I mean, he literally hasn't driven in a single run this postseason so far. And let's be honest, when we take a look at his past experiences in the postseason, the last time he has played really, really well was in our like big run with Lindor and them in 2016 and 17. He had a one good series I think against Tampa Bay. You said a few years ago, but other than that, it has been dog shit. Ramirez
Yeah.
bats like 238 in the postseason, right? Right now, just as his career. But I bet you within the last few postseasons, it's been even worse. He needs to be better in order for this team to have any sort of success in this postseason. He was batting really well at the end of the season. You cannot lose that, especially when you have guys like Lane Thomas who have been outstanding. Of course, he just drove in our first run of the game. You got guys like Kwan who are starting to get back to that sort of just getting on base and driving in singles and doubles. That's what you need Kwan to do. You don't need him to go for power all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like Naylor as well, dude, you cannot be swinging at 2 pitches out of the strike zone super low and expect this to continue being a thing. I'm already seeing people say trade Naylor this offseason because I'm really tired of seeing it. And I'm not sure that I disagree. Naylor is just such an inconsistent player. He's like a career probably like 240 or 245 batting average type of guy. In this season, he's pretty much been that way, where he's had moments where he's been outstanding, and then he's had moments where he's been shit and hasn't been able to hit the broad side of a barn. We just need more from guys like them because they are your guys you're paying the most money, I guess, for. And these guys, they need to step up along with guys like Jimenez and stuff. You just need your guys to really show up when you need it the most here.
Well, and the thing, and my thing is too, is like there's a reason why you have guys like Kyle Manzardo because Kyle Manzardo is a first baseman.
Yep.
10 times the hitter that Naylor
or even Noel.
Yeah, or Noel. Like these guys are better hitters. These guys can hit the ball far. These guys can hit the ball well. Jimenez, obviously, he's a great defensive shortstop, second baseman, whatever. But his problem too is that he struggles at the plate a lot too. So there's guys that you have that just struggle at the plate. Well, and for me, Naylor struggles more when it comes to crunch time.
Yeah.
Like he was great all season. It just came to just when the game started, he had an opportunity to get a couple runs in, and he's swinging at balls in the dirt, and you can't be doing that. So it's so much. I don't know how to fix it, essentially.
Yeah.
But I think next season we start to see more Manzardo maybe playing first base, more like Naylor backing in. If we do keep Naylor, more backing into a DH type role.
Yep.
Or if you get rid of Naylor, you put maybe
Noel,
Noel more in that DHing type role, and you play Manzardo as an everyday first baseman.
Yeah.
But there's definitely going to be some lineup changes. There's definitely going to be some people staying, some people going, and it's going to be a weird offseason to see. So it's one of those things, and it's going to be nice too because you should. I pray to God you should have Shane Bieber back for a full season. Because the thing is, if you had him back for like these games and these playoffs, the series would be 2-1 us instead of 2-1 Detroit. Because Shane Bieber would have been lights out. So Tanner Bybee out here fighting against Kerry Carpenter, who was the one who took away game 2 from us.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that game was close literally until the very last inning, pretty much.
It was the ninth inning. Kerry Carpenter hit that 3-run homer
off of Clase too. Nice high heat. We love that. See, that's the stuff you need to see out of Bybee. If you can get 5 or 6 innings out of Bybee, you give yourself a chance to win every single time. And it's good. It's good to give Bybee an early lead because he can kind of hone in. See, he's a little nervous, but he's fine because he's a damn good pitcher and he knows it.
And that double he gave up to the first guy wasn't really necessarily his fault. It was more of a blooper that just got down and nobody can get there in time because people have to remember Progressive Field is actually quite small.
Yeah.
So that would have been an easy fly out at Progressive Field. Teams like Detroit, they have large outfields and large state. So those fly balls aren't always guaranteed.
Yeah.
They can get down.
Yeah.
Even if they hang a little bit, which is what happened with the first guy, Austin Meadows. It hung up in the air a little bit. It got down fast, and he's one of the fastest guys in the league. So he was able to make that a double instantaneously. Yeah. But for Bybee right now, he just has to hone in, make sure he gets these next 2 guys out, which he did. He got Kerry Carpenter out on a high heater. He's got to get Matt Vierling out here. And then he can probably pitch more comfortable and be a little bit more aggressive with the next guy if he gets to 2 outs because he could be like, listen, now I can get this guy really to
pop out. Yep.
Pop out or
ground pop out. Perfect. Yep. That's perfect.
So Matt Vierling with an infield fly out. So just as I discussed, just worry about these guys. And I think if he can get out of this first inning unscathed, I think it also relaxes the hitting too.
Yep.
Because the hitters are hot. Bybee's now like, all right, we're vibing, we're zoned in.
Right. So what I am gonna do now, just because there's not really much more to talk about, with the game being going on. I'm gonna send you the week 6 list for games, and then we'll.
Do we want to do Ohio State, Oregon? Because that is this weekend.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, that's a big matchup.
Yeah, because I just remember it's like, oh, Ohio State plays Oregon this weekend. That's
finally an actually good game for us to play too. There's a couple people saying, this is going to be a game of the quarterbacks. I do not see that. I think Oregon is going to come in with a big awakening from us. I'm not sure. Let me see.
There you go. 3 outs.
State football. Schedule.
Did you see it's been going around TikTok and Twitter, this guy on his podcast, I can't remember the name of the podcast now, but I know it's like, I know the logo is like a KK or whatever, but I forget the guy's too. Yeah. Where he's like, oh, I got Oregon by like 3 scores. Like Will Howard's kind of ass. He's like, Cal McCord is actually better than Will Howard, and
it's like Oregon's defense is not that great either. They've struggled against quite a few teams this year.
They struggled against Idaho game 1. Like they just beat Idaho by like 10. And then the week after they played Boise State and had to kick a game-winning field goal to beat Boise State.
Yeah. And if Boise State, who has a great run game, one of the best running backs in the entire college football, if that's what they can do, have fun going up against a duo like we have.
Yeah, Henderson and Judkins.
Especially because we are just a better football team, and I think we have a much better defense. I think, like I said, even though the only thing that's going for Oregon is we are at Oregon.
Yeah.
But I honestly expect Ohio State to win by at least 2 scores.
And Jeremiah Smith too. Oh
who has been lights out. But let's not also forget Ibuka has been fantastic.
Oh, Ibuka has been the number 1, yeah.
Yeah. Even Martell, when he gets a chance to make plays, he's made some bigger plays. Like he hasn't really done a whole lot because he hasn't needed to. But we have so much offensive power that like Will Howard can throw 2 picks today or on Saturday, and we're still going to be able to win this game 35-21. Like that's where I'm kind of seeing this game going. Our defense is so much better than people are giving it credit for, and I cannot wait to show that out against a top 3 team like Oregon, who I think is a little fraudulent in being a top 3 team. This will be a welcome to the Big Ten moment for Oregon.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it now on ESPN. They have Ohio State winning 65 to 35 or 65% to 35%. So they have Ohio State just kind of beating down Oregon a little bit, even on the road. And right now the spread is at 3 for Ohio State.
Yeah.
Which honestly, that's a good spread to take. If you really want to take the spread, you could definitely take Ohio State spread. And the money line is at like minus like 140, which is actually, again, a great value. So if you're a betting person like us, I would definitely either take the spread or the money line value.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this game. I don't know what's the over-under. The over-under, and this is on ESPN Bet, the over-under is at 54.5. So, which the lines are actually not terrible.
No.
But no, listening to that guy gave me like some like brain cells lost because you're saying Oregon's gonna win by 3 fucking scores. I hope you mean by like 3 field goals.
Yeah.
Like not 3 touchdowns, because there's no way Oregon's gonna beat us by 21 in this matchup. Like our defense is a lot better than theirs. We have the better QB. We have the better running backs. You almost lost to Boise State and Idaho.
Yeah.
Which, how do you almost lose to Boise State and Idaho? That's kind of crazy. And this umpire sucks dick, dude. He thinks everything's a swing. But yeah, I just don't see Ohio State just doesn't win this football game. Like,
yeah,
I think this is one of the better games we could. Like, it's gonna be a great game. Don't get me wrong. I think it's gonna be close than what people expect it to be. But I also think it's one of those games where we could easily just take it and run with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do not see Oregon beating us. They're a good team and all, but I think they're just very fraudulent. I mean, if you put 10 points or like $10 on the money line, I think it's not very much on FanDuel. I think it's like $6.58 because it's we're minus 152 here on FanDuel. So like I don't really like to bet on college football judges because for us in Ohio we really don't have a whole lot to
we can only bet on like the money line, the spread, and the over under. They took away the player
props and stuff. So it's gonna be hard, but I really do expect it not to be incredibly high scoring, but I'm saying like 35-21 Ohio State. Don't be surprised if Oregon starts off a little quick and starts their first drive with a score, because Ohio State has always kind of started games a little slow, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Rokio, why are you? That's Naylor. What are you doing again? Swinging at shit outside of the zone. My God. But yeah, I expect Ohio State to start a little slow. But if this is a game to start fast for them, this is the game to do it, because you have to make an initial shot at Oregon to really kill their vibe for the rest of the game. Ohio State is one of the best teams in the nation. And they're going to prove it this weekend. So, dude, I'm really excited for this matchup. This is the first big one for us. We finally had a taste of what this offense is supposed to look like. You sort of, get what the defense is going to do. This is going to be a fun one. I'm really excited for this. So,
yeah, me too. And before we get into this, I'm going to make my score prediction. I think it's going to be 34-21 Ohio State. So, cool. There we go.
Awesome.
All right, week 6 NFL predicts, baby.
So what was our records for last week?
Last week we were both tied at 8-6.
Okay, yeah, we both did pretty bad.
What helped me was obviously the split decision on picking Washington over the Browns. Yeah. I think that was a good smart decision by me.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was being too optimistic.
Yeah, no, I wish I was as optimistic, but I said, yeah, fuck it, I'm not gonna be that optimistic anymore. So I gave up. But yeah, we both finished 8-6, and overall record, you're at 37-26 overall. I am at 33-30.
Let's see if I can. There we go.
So,
It's a little bit better
so,
lighting.
so you're ahead by 4 in the overall record by 4.
Sweet.
So moving on to week 6, we have
The Thursday night
The
games
night
start
game.
out tonight.
Yep, 8:15 p.m. We have San Fran and Seattle.
Awesome. So yeah, this won't come out until tomorrow, so you guys won't see this until tomorrow. This is actually a really fun game.
This is
I think this is going to have a little more offense in it. It's really hard to say for me which team is actually going to win because honestly, Seattle's been playing really well this year.
yeah.
I think San Fran will win. But I think it'll be a really fun game. I really don't even necessarily have a score predict, but I am just gonna go with San Fran here.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. For some reason, I kind of just want to go off the rails and just pick Seattle just because they're at home.
I love it. Yeah.
But that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with Seattle because they're at home. They've played so well these last couple of weeks. They've played insanely well against Detroit. Like Geno Smith popped off for was it like 4 or something? Like he popped off for some crazy number. And
He's been one of the best like passing quarterbacks this year so far, consistently.
yeah, and I'm gonna look up at the schedule because I want to see what he actually like what he threw for because I know it was like or it was the week before then. It was week 4, right? Because week 5 Detroit had the bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was week 4. Geno Smith had 400 yards almost exactly.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
It was insane.
Wow, this is like actually being good. I'm really surprised. Anyways.
Yeah, but yeah. So I'm gonna go with Seattle because they're at home and Geno Smith is playing out of his goddamn mind right now.
Oh yeah.
But next we have the London game at 9:30 a.m. on Sunday. Jacksonville versus Chicago.
I am gonna go Chicago. Chicago's playing a lot better of the last 2 weeks. I think they're starting to finally find something there with Caleb. I think he's just starting to find his groove a little bit. Jacksonville did come off a really good game against the Colts where that was sort of a shootout. So Jacksonville always has a weird. That was almost a home run too. Jesus Christ, Quan. Jacksonville did come off a good game, but I think Chicago puts them back in their place. The only way that Jacksonville really wins this game is if that Tank Bigsby keeps going off because he had an outstanding game last week, and I think that's been a good change of pace for them. And then that Brian Thomas kid, if you can again find him as a deep threat and really use him the way you're supposed to, that team is going to do a lot better damage. But if Chicago can just get to Lawrence even a little bit, Chicago's going to win that game pretty easily.
Yeah, I went with Chicago as well. I just think the Jaguars are the worst team in the league at this point. I just don't see any hope for them. I don't see anything from them. Jacksonville, again, like I said, to me, they are the worst team in football, and Chicago's playing really well. And yeah, I'm just gonna go roll with the Chicago Bears. And the Chicago Bears defense is really, really good too. I think they're the most underrated defense. I think they are the best defense in the league as of right now.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's another good case in point. All right, Washington and Baltimore.
Commanders. Baltimore is not a good team on defense. The Commanders' offense is. I mean, we saw it last week. They put it up on us. I think it could be another shootout like the Ravens had against the Bengals. The Ravens really got lucky because the Bengals just sucked that much more.
Yeah.
The Commanders are going to do a lot better. I think they have a little bit better of a defense. The only thing that the Ravens will do better against them than we did is run the ball. Obviously, when you have Derrick Henry, you got to give him, some carries. If the Ravens do win it, it's because Derrick Henry has another crazy game, and it's definitely possible. But if the Ravens try to do that sort of, air it out type of, game, Washington's going to win that.
Yeah, I also went with Washington here. For the same reasons as you, to be honest. I think their offense is ridiculously good. As soon as they got Jaden Daniels, elevated this team so much. Him and Terry McLaurin are finally getting connected,
Oh yeah.
and it's a threat to the league. I think they're the best duo in the league, and luckily, one of my leagues, I have Jaden Daniels as my QB and Terry McLaurin as like a flex
Yeah.
spot guy. So I have a nice little stack there in Terry and Jaden Daniels. So, and again, I can say the same on the flip side. Like Washington's defense is not good at all either.
Yeah.
This is more of an offensive shootout.
Yeah.
And it's whose offense is better at doing the shootout, or is Lamar just going to run for 150 yards because he's a baby?
Yeah.
And he won't make passes. But hey, Jaden Daniels is just as an effective runner as Lamar is right now, and
a much better passer.
and a 10 times much better passer. So I'm rolling with Washington. I think Washington could potentially be one of the better teams in the league this year. Like they're going to be like the Houston of last year. And then now we got Arizona and Green Bay.
I'm gonna pick Green Bay.
Okay.
I mean, the Cardinals are almost there. It's just like on the defensive side of the ball, they're just not good enough to really continuously keep up with some some offenses. And Green Bay's offense is pretty solid. I mean, Jordan Love has been a good quarterback so far. He's getting back into the groove of things.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they get their running game going a little bit more this game, but I'm as good as the Cardinals can be. I think Green Bay does it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I picked the Green Bay Packers as well. I just think right now there's too many inconsistencies with Kyler Murray and the offense.
Yeah.
And if they really want to get anything going, they're gonna have to just utilize James Conner a little bit more in the run game. And even if they have to dump it off to him a little bit. But I just think there's too many inconsistencies with the Arizona offense. They could be really good one week, and then the next week they can't score points to save their life.
Yeah,
it's too much up and down for me. And Green Bay is just a good complete football team.
Yeah.
All right, Houston and New England. The first start of Drake May.
Houston.
Yeah, I mean,
no
doubt about it.
I mean, because Houston's defense is not that bad either. You really got to get to Drake May and just really make him uncomfortable, and I don't think that will be too difficult of a thing for them to do. So yeah, I think Houston all freaking day.
Yeah, I mean, I went with Houston. I just think Houston's just the better team, and no matter what New England does, they're just not going to be good. Again, they're just rebuilding. They're just reworking. They got Jerome Mayo as a rookie head coach. Everything's just being redone and reworked. So it's going to take a couple years, or maybe even a year or two or whatnot. Yeah, I just think they're just in rebuild mode, and it's not going to be close.
No.
Tampa Bay and New Orleans.
Bucks. It sounds like the Saints are getting ready to start a rookie in Spencer Rattler. I do think it kind of could open up their offense a little more, especially for guys like Olave. I can really see them feeding Olave the ball here, just because again, rookie QB, you want to get your best guy going. Olave is obviously a super big deep threat, but he's also just a great route runner. So I think it makes sense. But dude, Bake's on a roll. Tampa Bay is a good team. Obviously their defense isn't quite as crazy good as they were, but they're still good enough to win games. And with Baker the way he's playing right now, there's not too many teams that are better than him, at the moment. So Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I went with Tampa Bay just because they're going to start a rookie quarterback, and I think it's going to take them a little bit too long to find a rhythm in the offenses throughout the game. So I just think, and again, Tampa Bay, as we talked, they're a good complete team. Baker's look good all year. Their defense is solid. Their offense is good. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are rejuvenated. Bucky Irving is going to be a powerhouse running back for them.
Oh yeah,
I just like Tampa Bay all the way in this game.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to skip our game. Well, let's just do our game real quick.
Yeah.
We already know what we're doing. Browns and Eagles. I think we both just went Philly.
Yeah, Eagles. The only way that this happens is if this is sort of a trap game sort of game for us, where we're like, we sort of catch them off guard and have a crazy game, but I don't really see that happening. So Eagles.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we've discussed it all pod. The Browns, until they bench Deshaun Watson, they're not going to win any more games, essentially. So I went with the Philadelphia Eagles. So moving on to the Titans and Colts.
The Titans have been pretty rough this year, so I'm gonna go Colts. The Colts obviously came off a pretty bad loss against the Jags, but it was also a shootout with Flacco. I think whoever the hell you put at quarterback with the Colts, I think they're still better than what the Titans are putting out. Will Levis looks a little rough right now. I don't know what's going on with the kid, but he's struggling. So I'm saying Colts here.
Yeah, I agree. I went with Colts. Again, my thought too is whether it's Flacco or Richardson, I just think they're a better overall team than the Titans. The Titans have one or two guys in Tyjae Spears and I'm trying to think of the other running back now. It's blanking me. So
Don't they have Pollard?
yeah, Tony Pollard. That's who it is.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, they have D Hop too, but
Yeah. Calvin Ridley has 194 yards receiving total this year. he has nothing going for him right now.
Well, the thing is, you just have no QB play.
Yeah.
So
nothing.
Until they get QB play, their team is just dog water.
Yeah.
So
dog water.
All right, Chargers and Broncos.
This is an interesting one. Broncos have a pretty solid defense, surprisingly. You really didn't think that they were going to do that. They've been winning some tough games. They've kept scoring low, and the Chargers have not been scoring a whole lot. So I'm actually going to go Broncos here.
Yeah, I actually went with the Broncos as well, just again for the fact that number one, they're at home. Number two, their defense is actually really good for some reason. And as long as Bo Nix can just be somewhat competent and just get it down the field and just kick field goals and get points on the board, they're more than capable of winning this game. For some reason, LA they just can't do anything right now. So I don't see a reason how I don't see anything how LA wins this football game at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, LA doesn't win.
And freaking Bybee just gave up a single. They got runners on the corners. I'm telling you, Bybee isn't going to have a good game today. I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right. Steelers and Raiders.
The Raiders just made a change at QB. I think it lights them up, and I think the Raiders beat the Steelers after they just lost to Dallas. And I'm pretty sure the Raiders are at home, I believe.
They are.
So, yeah. I'm going to say Raiders.
So I also
Steelers.
I also went with the Raiders.
Hell yeah.
And they should be getting guys like Max Crosby back, obviously. Their defense should be stacked again. I just don't trust the offensive line, and I think Justin Fields starts to slowly come back down to earth.
Yeah.
And I think the Steelers realize that Justin Fields is the same old Justin Fields as he was in Chicago, and I don't think Russ makes any changes either.
No.
So I think this is where the Steelers start to finally realize who they really are, and they start to kind of come back down to earth a little bit.
Yep.
All right, Falcons and Panthers.
Panthers are still ass. I mean, it doesn't matter who they put in at quarterback. I mean, the only bright side they have has been Hubbard. He's been a great running back for them. He's done a lot of the offense for them. So he's the one bright spot. Other than that, the Panthers are ass. Kirk Cousins just came off a heater, and I'm starting him at quarterback this week for my fantasy team who desperately needs some quarterback play because Pat Mahomes has been trash for me. So Kirk Cousins, I hope you have another 500-yard passing game with 5 scores. Do it again, baby, because I fucking need it.
Yeah, I mean, it is just easy. I went with Atlanta too. Carolina's just bottom of the barrel team. No matter who's at QB, they're just trash.
Yeah, they're ass.
Yeah. So, all right, moving on to Detroit, Dallas.
Damn, Bybee walked again. Base is fucking loaded. This isn't good. He's really struggling with his command with his fastball.
Yeah.
I had a feeling that this was going to happen. All right. Detroit, Dallas, you said?
Yep.
Detroit. I mean, Dallas is pretty fraudulent. I heard they might be getting that Rashad Bland kid back from corner, so that might help him, especially if he plays. But Detroit, man, a buddy of mine has been a fan of them for a while now, for the last few years. It's really hard to not like watching this team. I love Amon. Goff has been very likable. Obviously Dan Campbell's a very likable coach.
Yeah.
Detroit has been lights out, and they survived a heater against Seattle. I think Detroit, having to come off the bye, I think it'll help them, and I think they'll get guys like Jameer Gibbs and stuff going again as well. Obviously, David fucking Montgomery has also been great. They've just been one of the best teams in the league, and I just think Dallas is struggling a lot right now. They're really struggling to find an identity on both sides of the ball. So I'm saying Detroit here.
Yeah, I went with Detroit as well. Like you said, I just think the Cowboys are becoming fraudulent. Nothing seems to be going well for Detroit, or I mean Dallas, excuse me. They struggled against Pittsburgh. They're just struggling really hard right now. I just I just believe that Detroit's, again, they're more of a Super Bowl caliber kind of S team, and I just think that Detroit's going to get done.
Yeah.
All right, Cincinnati and New York for the Sunday night game.
This is a weird Sunday night game.
Yeah.
But I actually think the Bengals will do it. The offense has at least been doing a lot better for them. They're obviously their defense has been shit, but the offense is putting up enough. New York, I don't know if they have Malik back yet. It doesn't sound like it. So I'm gonna say the Bengals here.
Yeah, I went with the Bengals too. I just think their offense is starting to pick it up. They looked really good against Cincinnati, or they looked really good against Baltimore.
Yeah.
And this should just be an easy. This should be an easy opponent. So
big.
Yeah, this should just be a really easy opponent.
Yeah.
So for the Bengals, and yeah. All right, so the Monday night game, the Buffalo Bills and the Jets, and obviously the Jets have just fired Robert Saleh, and the interim head coach demoted Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
As well. So a lot of weird moves going on here in New York.
I don't know if this is going to be an upset or not. I'm actually going to pick the Jets here. The Bills have been struggling a little bit. Josh Allen's a little torn up, so he's not totally 100%. And I think the head coaching change and stuff, I think it's going to switch up the Jets. I think it's going to somehow light a fire under them, and they're going to kind of unleash a little bit. I think Aaron Rodgers finally has himself a good game, and they pull out a dub.
I thought the opposite. I think that the head coaching change and whatnot is going to slow them down just a little bit because, again, new play caller, new demotions for the offensive coaches, coaching staff, and stuff like that. I figured for me, this is going to be more of a Buffalo controlled game. I think Josh Allen starts to feel himself a little bit. And I just think Josh Allen can take control a little bit of this game. Him and Khalil Shakir get together and do well. And I think this is finally where he starts getting Kincaid some good passes and some good opportunities. So, yeah, there we go. And obviously the teams on the bye are Kansas City, LA, Miami, which I'm sure they're happy about right now. And then Minnesota. Don't have to watch Kansas City be pricks anymore and whatnot. And
yeah.
Thank God for that.
With that's pretty much it. I mean, I really don't want to put any Browns bets out today. I don't really feel like there's going to be anything worthy right now. Player props are not really out yet, besides obviously anytime scores and stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to feel it out a little bit before we put out any bets, and I don't want to put out any bets. Well, I did put out some bets for the Thursday night game.
I did put out 2 bets for tonight.
Yeah, so
I
mean,
if you want to get through those, we can get through those.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'll share them. The one is a little bit longer because it's a lot more of like specific player props, like like receptions and stuff like that. I'm really starting to get back into those. But I did a anytime touchdown four legger. I have George Kittle and Jordan Mason being an anytime score tonight for San Fran, and then I have Kenneth Walker and DK Metcalf as an anytime score. They've both been hitting those. And then for my bigger one, I have Geno Smith going over 248.5 passing yards. Obviously, he went for over 400 last week, so he should hit that. I actually have Brock Purdy going under 253.5 passing yards. I just think they're going to try to run the ball a little bit more, but they also just haven't really had a lot of deep threat stuff. So I don't really expect that to happen against Seattle this week. We'll see though. And then I have Geno Smith going over 1.5 passing touchdowns. DK going for over 65.5 receiving yards. Jackson Smith and Jigba going for over 46.5 receiving yards. Tyler Lockett going for over 4.5 receptions. DK over 4.5 receptions. Jordan Mason over 96.5 total yards. Kenneth Walker over 3.5 receptions. He had like 8 targets last week. So if you're trying to look for a weird bet like that, he's been a big part of the pass game now for them too. So definitely look out for that. I also have Charbonnet going for over 2.5 receptions as well. George Kittle going for over 4.5 receptions, and then I tallied that off with an anytime score by George Kittle because he scored in the last 2 or 3 games, I think. So he's been on a sort of a hot streak. I'm gonna let that ride out. That was like a 10-leg parlay or a 12, whatever it was, and it was a $10 wager. Wins you $4,700 if you do it. It's a plus God. 40. It's a plus 47,612. And then that anytime score, I have $5 on that for like $111. So, again, if you're gonna do like big leg parlays like that, make them all doable. Like if you think a player is gonna go for 50 yards, put it for 40 or like 45.5 or something. Do small stuff like that. Also, the like if you can bet on targets and even the amount of receptions that they get. Do that because it's such an easy thing to hit on, man. Like especially if you can look through their past stats, see what they've been doing. Even look at their targets. If you look at their targets and say they got targeted 8 times and they only caught 4 balls, it's still a chance for them to catch 4.5. It's there. So just be smart in that way.
Yeah. So for mine, I have a 3-legger with a 30% profit boost. 378 turns into 491.
Nice.
And it's just, again, generic. Tyler Lockett for 40 receiving yards, George Kittle for 40 receiving yards, and then Geno Smith under 1.5 passing touchdowns. Sweet. So for that, $5 would get sorry, hold on, let me fix this.
Nice, Naylor. There you go. A nice little single in.
Good. We needed that. But I think it was like $5 wins you like $20 or something. Yeah. And then I have another large one, which was a 8-leg parlay, and that one's I just have like a no sweat token on it, and $5 will win you $55. And this one is DK Metcalf 50 yards receiving, Deebo Samuel 50 yards receiving, JSN 25 yards receiving, Ayuk 40 yards receiving, Lockett 25 yards receiving, Kittle 25 yards receiving. Brock Purdy 2 passing touchdowns, and then Geno Smith over 225 yards passing. And that is $5 will win you $55.
Yeah, so there you go.
So again, like Zach said, all ones that are very doable. That if you just put like a small amount of money, like I just said $5 to 50 because I just usually people bet $5. Like some from mine, like I put like $2, like so like this no sweat when I did $2 for $25.
Yeah.
And then $2 for the first one with the profit boost for $2 for $12.
Yeah.
So again, I'm still gonna win $32 if both hit.
Yeah.
So but again, very simple, doable bets. And that's all you need. Don't need to go crazy and get the $1 for 450K.
For real. That's sick. So yeah, man, you just gotta be smart with betting. As always. I mean, I don't really want to keep saying the same things because I always do. But yeah, we'll see what the Browns do this week, guys. Honestly, this probably won't be a fun game for us. So that's why we're not really too positive about it. But the Guardians right now, it's 1-1 in the top of the third. We got 2 guys on with 2 outs. The Tigers already have guys getting ready in the bullpen, so we'll see what we can do. Lane Thomas just got a single to get on board, so we got two guys on, 2 outs. Issue is the Guardians have not been very, very good with runners in scoring position, so we're gonna find out what guys like Will Brennan here in the back half of our lineup can do. So let's hope for a dub And if that happens,
Well,
how what day would they play?
Saturday.
Saturday. Okay.
Saturday at 4:30.
Okay.
4:30.
So yeah, the next time that we get on here, hopefully we'll either be in the ALCS
Or we're going home.
or we're going home and we're very depressed. But hey, at least the Cavs are coming back. The Cavs look pretty good in their first preseason game. So hopefully, as the season starts to get here, we'll have some more Cavs talk to have about, and no more complaining about JB Bickerstaff because he is gonzo and it looks so much better.
Fuck
So
JB.
that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Andrew, you got anything else before we log off?
Nope, I have nothing besides go Guards, go Cavs.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.